Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the live stream here on Here to Record YouTube channel. Thank you so much for tuning in, stopping by. Hopefully you can hear and see me just fine as usual. The countdown timer runs down and I get caught off guard. Luckily I have a group of a few people watching along on the behind the scenes show for members only, where they can take a look at the live multi-view of a few different shots and tell me whenever the timer's running down and keep me, keep me interested in what's happening before the show goes live. So thanks to them. Looks like you can hear and see me just fine, which is excellent. Thanks so much for joining from wherever you're watching from here. Gerald coming in from Germany. Also Sam from Kenya, which is cool. We have Pierre from Belgium. Eric is coming in. Good to see you here, Eric. As always, you can hear and see just fine. JF, who's watching on YouTube and on Zoom as well, which is cool. And Joel, and IT Never Gets Old, and Dawn as well. Lots of familiar faces watching along today. Like I showed at the start there, we're going to talk about a few things on today's show. So any questions that you have about H2R apps, Here to Record apps, what else could you ask about? You could ask about IBC, which was like a month ago now, but I haven't been live since then. You could ask about, what else? ATEMs, live streaming, whatever pops up. Doesn't matter so much what the question is, but we can try to answer it as the show goes on. I can hide that out of the way. Lots more people coming in, which is cool. This is why you go live a bit early, so you can let people filter in, watch along. I want to talk about any questions that pop up. I also want to chat about a live stream that I did last week from a book fair, where I was live streaming to TikTok for a TikTok account at their booth. I've got some photos of that. I managed to take some video of that too. And yeah, in general, I just wanted to chat about IBC since it's been like a few weeks now. It kind of feels like it didn't happen. One of those after a while, things just disappear and you forget that it happened. But it did happen, and I met many of you there. In fact, I have a little photo here. Let me see if I can make it full screen and we can take a look at that. Is that the right one? Yes. Yeah, we took this photo in a little dark corner at IBC, which was quite fun. It was good to see many of you show up. It was crazy. If you haven't been to IBC, it's sort of like the European NAB with lots of booths from all sorts of companies that we are interested in and many other ones that we don't. I don't know. So it was great to be there, see a lot of people, and have some fun. Let me see, Doc coming in with, I have a question and that is killing me. Why in the world is the ATEM audio input is unbalanced for the life of me? That is a good question. I have no idea. Do you mean on my live stream or do you mean life in general? Why is it unbalanced? Funny, the only reason I say is it me in general, or is it the ATEMs, like the ATEM minis, which don't have a balanced connection? It's because on some of my multi-views right now, I can see it coming in. I only have a mono audio coming in on one channel and it's split across two on my ATEM. And in some places it looks fine and in some it doesn't. So I'm not entirely sure what's happening there. Let me see if I have all my audios lined up correctly. Yeah, I do. I think I know. Oh, okay. I know why I'm getting confused. So you're talking about the ATEMs in general. I don't know. I don't know what they're... Yeah, you asked about the device itself. I have no idea. The ATEM previously was heavily focused on video, the video side of stuff, which has gotten better and better. And it's been a few years now since the company Blackmagic bought, what do you call it, Fairlight. And then they've been introducing all that good stuff into their ATEM. So you have all of the nice options in the ATEM, like the Fairlight audio mixing panels and all that good stuff, as you can see. Not there, but here. It's been a while since I did this. I'm slow at pressing buttons today. So they have all this great, EQ and dynamics and all that good stuff, but it seems like the hardware side of things are not quite as good as the software just yet. So I have no idea, to answer your question, why they did that. It would be a good question to ask them. And I have no idea what they'll say to that. Maybe space, maybe money, price, no idea. But always good to ask. Joel here wants to know, did you get a sneak peek in vMix 26? I did. I actually when I was at IBC, I was doing some coverage for the office hours community, and I have that live stream sitting on my computer here. We can take a look at that too. If I go in there and then in here. So I'll come back to your question about vMix 26, but we did this little live stream where from all over the world, people were on the panel, and then we were on location in IBC. Come on. Chatting with the booth people who ever come there to talk. So I was chatting with this guy from Make Pro X and all sorts of stuff. So I chatted with sound devices. I chatted, look at me rudely looking at my phone there. I also chatted with lots of people, but one of the people I talked to was Tim from vMix, which was a real strange moment for me for sure. Having watched so many of their videos for so long on YouTube, on their live streams and all that good stuff, it was like a geek out moment to chat with Tim. I'll just pause that for a second. It's distracting me. About vMix, about all that fun stuff. But it was super nice to hang out with and see him and Martin, and also Petra, who was working at the booth, who's often here in the chat, and I've been on Petra's channel too. I'm not sure you're here today, but no problem. But while I was there, we had a quick look at vMix 26 to answer your question, Joel. And yes, it seems quite interesting. It seems more like a dot upgrade than a full point. No, wait, a point upgrade, like a 25.5 or something, rather than 26, based on the features that they mentioned so far. But I'm not entirely sure how they go through their naming or their numbering, release numbering. But there's some interesting things coming in there, if I can remember them all now. One of them was like a blur filter that you can add to stuff, which is something that I have definitely wanted in the past, a way to just blur certain things. Maybe you can remind me in the chat, Joel, if you saw anything from vMix 26. But there were a couple of cool things. Oh, one of them was they were showing off that little Insta360 USB webcam connected up with full control of that coming through, and they showed that off on their own live stream as well, which is really nice. He didn't show me anything here. We just chatted about it, so I don't have any way to see what was actually discussed between the two of us other than just listening to the live stream. So I'm not going to do that right now. But it was fun to see what kind of stuff was coming in. Things are loading on my end here, so just let me know if everything's playing just fine for you on your end. So that was vMix 26. If you want to watch the full officer show that we did, you can check that out. And then they did a breakdown of the gear we used to make all that happen. It was crazy though. Lots of live view backpacks, lots of connections going all over the place. We had, Alex just asked a question here that's coming in now. What were you using for your IEM? Is it running through your phone? So in this particular photo here, you can see me with the IEM, which was connected to my phone. You can just see the cable running down there and into my ear. So we were using Unity Comms, which is a web-based intercom system. So I had that running on my phone, and then also on my phone was questions coming from the audience as well. So that's why I'm looking very rudely at my phone while people are chatting to me there. But I promised that I was listening most of the time. So next question, Go Web Technologies wanted to know there, what was your key moments at IBC? One of the key moments definitely was meeting up with some of the Here to Record community for sure. We got together, like I said, in a little dark corner because I was already tired. This was on the first day we met, and I was already tired walking around. So we found this little dark corner and chatted in there in a little circle, and then we took that photo, which was fun, that I showed earlier. Other than that, hanging out at the Blackmagic booth and chatting to them, just talking to, like, instead of a random support person that you might talk to over email, talking to the product manager of the 8SIM switchers, for example, just being able to chat with them directly. Eventually I think I ended up saying so many bits of feedback that they were tired of listening to me talking to them. But that was cool, just being able to speak to specific people rather than just talk to the company or the support email. I really enjoyed that. What else was good about it? Probably things that I can't even remember right now. But Amsterdam is a great city. I really enjoy walking around it, exploring it. And I didn't really do much in the evenings because I was just so exhausted from walking around all day. So I can't say I fully took advantage of Amsterdam, but I've been there quite a few times before. So that is a chat about IBC. I think that was all the photos I had from IBC. Yeah, I think so. And then if you want to see what we were up to while we were there, you can always check out the Discord channel, which we posted a few things in while we were on the floor. But meeting people that were from Discord, some people just came up and said hello, or people at the meetup, that was probably the best part. They're the ones you can never talk to in person unless you go to these fun things, right? I'm just marking a few things to get to later as questions that I definitely want to get to, so let me just go through that there. Eric says vMix also has new voice activated commands. Yeah, I noticed that they had those previously. They had some voice commands that I think they added as a joke, but then realized it made sense to keep them in there. So it sounds like they have more new ones. I must have missed that one. And I believe there's more mix buses, or mix, what do they call it? Output as input, or whatever it's called. I think that they added more of those as well, or MEs, or whatever their term is for that, which is quite cool. Companion question, I'll come back to that later. Lindhage says the new 2ME in the spec, I can read mix minus support. How does that work? Can I choose different audio in the outputs? I feel like a newbie now. That's a good question. Let me just see if I have. I don't think I have that set up at all, but we can just launch into my SuperSource here and take a look at it. So the mix minus on the ATEMs is like a sort of special type of mix minus that means if you connect, and they had this on the Television Studio HDs as well, but if you connect the aux outputs, so let's say you bring in a Zoom call into aux, or into input number 1, and then you send a return feed to that person, so their audio and video is coming in on input number 1, and then you send a return feed to them on output number 1, just to make it easy. What you can do is send back all of the audio from the program, except for their specific audio, and that can be done here in this mix minus section in the ATEM software control. So what I'm saying here is, if I have attached everything correctly, I can set up mix minus on output number 1, which right now is going to my hyperdeck. Just I know that doesn't really help for this specific case, but if I had my Zoom caller number 1 on this output, then I can send back the program audio minus their audio. Now you'll not be able to send them a specific mix. That's kind of where things fall apart here. So what I would send them back is whatever audio is active on my program, but the ATEM is smart enough to know not to send them back the channel that you told them that you shouldn't send them back. So it's like sort of a version of that for sure. Thomas says the mix minus on the Television Studio is far more useful than in the 2ME because it makes you select the video from the input you're trying to select. TVS was program video. Yeah, so in the 2ME, you can send any video back to the caller, in this case, minus their audio. But on the Television Studio, it was only ever the program video. So in this case, I think that the 2ME is better. I think that's what you were saying, unless I'm wrong. But I think the 2ME, the newer ATEM constellations are better for that. So in theory, I could send back a different feed. Like right now in my teleprompter, I'm looking at my, what do you call it? Web presenter output, so I can see what's being streamed. I could send that back to a caller if I wanted to. Or maybe I could send them back a multi-view, which is what I have behind me here. This little 4-up multi-view is what's going to my buddies over on Zoom that are the members of the channel that are watching along in Zoom instead. So I could send a multi-view back to a Zoom caller, mix minus their audio. I mean, it's not great, but it's pretty good. Thomas says, nope, the 2ME, it has to be the minus video. I'm not entirely sure what you mean, Thomas. You may have to, or we can chat about that later. It's harder to go back and forth on chat. You're saying maybe you have to send them back the same video signal, which would be really strange if that's the case. Yeah, hard to explain on chat, exactly. If I'm incorrect about that, we can I can definitely, I should make a video, but I did intend at some point to make a video specifically about how the mix minus works on the ATEMs, because it's not instantly clear as we find already. in this chat here. Yes, you got it. It's that strange. So it's not instantly clear how it works unless you set it all up. I find that with mix minus in general, explaining that on audio, before you get in there and plug in all the cables and try things out, and then you start to get it. Okay, I understand what's happening here. That's for my own inability to see it without trying it out. So maybe a video on that would be a good idea. I should write that on a list somewhere. I do have a videos list in a document somewhere, but I don't think I'll be able to bring that up right now. So I'll just write it on a piece of paper here, mix minus, and I'll read that later, and I'll not know what I was talking about. Okay, I'm just gonna launch through lots of different questions here until we transition into other chats. Kirsten wants to know: did you plan to implement user variables in the companion plugin for setting lower thirds text? Yes, if I understand the question correctly. There's a small thing you can do in a companion module when you write it to allow the variables within companion to be used from your app. So let me see if I have my companion thing here. Let me just bring it up for you and take a look. This one, yes. So I have a bunch of buttons here, but this one, for example, if I use H2R graphics as an example here, and I go into update the content of my lower third here, I can't put a companion variable in this space right now. I'm using the current version of the H2R graphics module. So currently it's not available. You can't put in the dollar. What's the syntax again for this? I have it on one of these buttons, right? Yeah, dollar bracket. Blah de blah. So I can't do that right now. But with a small change to my companion module, you can do that. And I have that change made. I actually was working on the companion module over this past weekend. I think there's another question here from JF. I'll come to that in a second about the companion module. But I am back working on it again. It's something that I've just let fall apart because I wanted to work on the application instead of working on this companion module. It's a weird. I really like companion. I have lots of good things to say about it. But as an app developer, whenever someone else starts the module for your application and then they stop updating that because they're busy doing other things, or you rewrite the app so they need to relearn it, for example, you're kind of stuck in this position where you're the only person that's probably going to update the app or the module, but you're actively working on your app, so maybe the module just falls apart or falls down the to-do list, and that's exactly where we are. So questions like that is something that I've now added to my version of the module, which I will release whenever the time comes. And JF here, I believe you have been working on the companion module. We were chatting about that on Discord the other day. What can we expect? Great question. So I've been working through a few issue lists that were on the companion module GitHub page. One of them was to add the variables, which we just talked about a second ago. Another one was that timers couldn't be set from the button presses because of a change I made several versions ago. So I've fixed that locally as well. Let me see, what else did I work on in the companion module? I should have kept it open in case it popped up, since we were talking about it being a thing that I was working on. I have my README file somewhere in here that I've been... there was lots of errors being... basically, if you connected to a graphics project that didn't seem to exist, then the companion logs would just be full of errors. Do I have that here on mine? No, I don't have any errors right this very second. I've had plenty of errors other days, but just not right now. So that was one thing. And then somewhere along the way, I renamed one of the graphics from 2 lines to animated lower third. I don't remember ever calling it that, but it wasn't that long ago. That's the crazy thing. But some people were wondering why can't you control animated lower thirds? But you could. It was just named badly. So that was another thing. And other little bits and pieces, stability improvements that have gotten a little bit better in the companion module. What's tricky though is that I need to release my new version of H2R graphics first in the coming weeks before I can release the new version of this module. So the two are kind of dependent on each other in a sense. So I will get to that first, the graphics app release, and then I can switch over and change and upgrade the companion module. I'll get there eventually. Power Jams DJ, hello all, good to have you here. Welcome, welcome. Excuse me. And some questions coming in here. I don't want to miss them, so I'm just tagging them for later. In fact, let's get to this one. Rennie, I'm looking for a physical faders to control audio on the A10 Mini Pro. Laptop screen to small. Laptop screen to small to use. Laptop screen is too small to use the faders. Yeah, that is one of my issues for sure. In fact, I don't know if you checked out my YouTube channel the other day. So when I got back from, in fact, when I was at IBC a few weeks back, I was thinking of a few different things that I would love to see Blackmagic make. And having talked to them about stuff, I was very inspired to sort of tell them what I want them to make for us all. But I didn't have all the great ideas when I was there on the show floor. I decided after the fact that I had some good ideas. So what I ended up making, this is a long way of telling you that I ended up making a video all about the 5 things I think Blackmagic Design should make. And if you haven't checked that out yet, I'll post no, actually you can check out it on the channel. You can have a watch of it after this if you have some spare time tonight or this evening. But one of the things I really would love them to make would be, we can go to that first since you said it there, would be an ATEM audio panel. So here in an old video that I made, you can use a MIDI controller in, I think, if I'm not mistaken now, you have to switch it into Mackie mode. Maybe I'm wrong, but I can't entirely remember now. I haven't watched my own video in a long time. Or Power Jams DJ says here you can use the Behringer X Touch. So a MIDI device will work nicely. And in this case, I'm using one of those little Korg Nano controls, which you can watch that video. If you watch this one, you can click up here and watch that one. You'll be deep into the levels of videos by then. But at the time, and I think maybe it's improved since then, but you can see here, like it goes, you can watch 2 versions of me here. It works for the audio, which is nice, but since none of these have motorized faders on them, then it won't remember if someone else makes a change somewhere else, or if you make a change on the software, it's not going to be reflected on the MIDI controller. So you kind of have to guarantee yourself that this is exactly the device I'm going to use. And in my testing back then, I don't know if it's changed since then, but you can see there, everything goes crazy when you did multiple at a time. But again, this was years ago. I made that particular video that I'm referencing in this other video, a part of this live stream right now. Video Inception. So that is one way to do it. Another way is with a good old friends over at Scarhoy. They have lots of devices made specifically for this purpose. Not necessarily, super inexpensive, but certainly well built and exactly what you're asking for, a faders to control ATEM audio. Let's see if I can find any quickly here without looking through their whole website. But they do have a lot of nice ones. Okay, here, the broadcast audio. This is one that we played with, me and Spike. Spent some time with at IBC, and we were walking around the Scarhoy booth and playing with their controllers. And this was one of them, the little audio device that you can set up. These are all motorized faders, I'm pretty sure, unless I'm mistaken, but I am pretty sure they are. In fact, they must be. They would have to be these days. These are all motorized faders, is what I'm saying now as a fact. And you can connect them up to the ATEM. You could connect them up to any of the channels on the ATEM you wanted. You can connect them, half of them up to the ATEM and half of them up to vMix, whatever you want. This is the way I'm starting to really think that I will head. Like I said, that these are not the most inexpensive devices. I would love to click on one, but I can't seem to get in there. I just want to see what this is called, but I can't. It doesn't matter right now. But for like whenever you play with them in real life and have a little feel with them, they are wonderfully made devices. Their whole builder to wire up these individual buttons and faders, that whole software process has gotten so much better over the last few years too. So they're doing a great job. That's another way to do it. That'll be much more expensive than a Behringer X Touch or a Korg Nano that I was showing off earlier, but it's definitely a good option. Wait, did I not show you that Scarhoy website the whole time? Was I? Am I being stupid? You can let me know if I didn't show you that. But you can also head over to the Scarho website and check it out. My phone is going crazy here. So yeah, that's another way to do it. Scarho devices or Nano MIDI controllers. Now we see it. Okay, good. You saw it. I hope you saw it there. Excellent. So, in fact, if you didn't, yeah, you did. Okay. The chat is the delay today is huge, so I was sort of stalling there waiting. Alex, good to have you here in the house. Alex Pettit is with us. Alex and I are we're working hard today and last week and the week before on a little video that we're working on together. I'm not gonna give any spoilers away, Alex, because we never said that we would tell anybody we were doing a video, but we are. A little 2-part series, which is fun. And I was shooting some B-roll for that today, and last week we were on a call doing some of the A-roll stuff. It was fun. It's really good to make some videos together, so good to have you here in the chat. Oh, and Todd Reynolds as well. You saw it. Thanks, Todd. Good to see you coming around. And looking forward to coming out. Yeah, me too. If we can get that edit locked down. I was doing some procrastinating today. That's why the edit is not already locked down and ready to review. But we'll get there. Tomorrow I'll pick it back up again. So I wanted to talk about a fun little show I did this past weekend for let me just close some things out of the way here. So I was hired to do it was a big yearly, there's this huge book fair, like a huge big couple of halls full of books, publishers, small and large. And one of the ones that I was working for this past week was not quite a book publisher, but TikTok, who had a booth at this fair. So if you watched, or if you checked out my Instagram feed over the last weekend or so, you will have saw that I was there doing some fun things. Well, here's the first thing I was doing. I was being very handy with some tape. I had a little push-to-talk microphone, so I was being very handy with the tape here and taping a Manfrotto super clamp onto the mic stand. What you don't see in this photo is that 5 minutes after that, it sagged so much that I had to just take it off and hold the microphone. But at least I tried, right? That was the least I could do, is try. But I did share this photo of me running some tech at their booth. And the only thing I don't have today to show is the actual end product, which is quite funny, but I'm not a huge TikTok user, and I tried to go find it earlier and I couldn't possibly find it. But what we were doing was they had a booth there, like I said, and we were live streaming to that booth. Here's a little behind the scenes sketch of exactly what the booth looked like, since I don't have a good shot of it from the other angle. But so you saw the cupboard before there. If I just go back to that, you can see this colored blue cupboard here and the whole booth area. So I had this blue cupboard here where all the gear lived inside, which was vMix PC, PTZ control, all that stuff. We can come to that in a minute. And then on the other side here, you can also see that there was a couple of PTZ cameras in this booth. And the idea being that a host and an author would get together, chat with each other in this booth. People could stand down below here and watch them, hear them through some speakers that are not pictured here. And then I could mix the whole show from the cupboard, not inside the cupboard. Don't worry, I wasn't locked in there, but I was right in the middle of the action with all of the gear, which was, I thought at first that would be daunting, but it ended up being quite fun to just have people looking over your shoulder. Again, I don't usually like that kind of thing, but in this case, it kind of worked out quite well because people were quite nice. They were asking questions about what I was up to, which was fun. So if I go back to this again, you can see this is a live one. I managed to shoot one video this whole weekend because I was busy enough working. I wanted to make a bunch of videos, but time just, as it does, flew by. So this is the booth, and you can see here on the screen, or on the side here, we have a large 9x16 monitor, and that'll come into play later. But they had some TikToks rolling on a constant loop here, which we were playing from vMix, but the stream itself also was played on these monitors whenever we were live. At this point, we weren't live, of course. And if I go back closer to the computer here, so in the background there, you can see I'm running vMix. It has 2 PTZ cameras coming into it, videos that we were playing on a loop for the screen and for the stream. And then the way that we did the live stream was the vMix project was in Ultra HD, so we could get as much quality out of the cameras, the Panasonic UE150s, I think. I can just pick up a photo of those so you can see what they look like. Well, I mean, to be honest, they look like boring PTZ cameras, like all the PTZ cameras these days. But they were these ones here, PC2, there we go. UE150s, which are Ultra HD, unless I always get confused about all the model numbers on the PTZ since I don't own them myself. But we're using these ones, which do send out a UHD signal. And what was really nice about these is the way they were placed up in the booth meant that you can just, they're off to the left here of this photo, but we could run one cable from there all the way down, back behind the scenes, and then forward again to this little cupboard here. So everything was running over one cable that was PoE to power the cables or the cameras, control, which was coming to the PTZ controller, which was sitting beside me. In fact, I can just show you that here in this one. So like I said, the computer was there, and then I had this little controller that was controlling those 2 cams, and then the NDI feeds was also going into the vMix session as well. So it all worked into there. And then in vMix, we just set up some layers so we could crop everything to 9:16. vMix natively doesn't support 9:16 in the output. It does seem to support it on the streaming side of things, but not necessarily in the viewer. So you kind of have to just put some overlays on there just to fake it for yourselves. And then in order to stream that, which is something I've done before, is passing it from vMix internally into OBS, since OBS does actually let you create a 9:16 canvas that you can stream off to, in this case, TikTok, which is all via RTMP. There was no problems, obviously, streaming to TikTok, getting an RTMP credentials and all that stuff, because the client was actually TikTok. So, of course, they knew the right people to ask to get this stuff, which was just fine. The account that we were streaming to it had like 500,000 fans, I think is the term that they use on TikTok. I sound like an old guy who doesn't know what he's talking about here, but it was very much a new to TikTok experience for me, that's for sure. And one of the streams got in and around like 13,000 viewers watching at one point. Again, it's really hard to tell with the analytics that they offer if that was at the same time or that's an aggregation over time. But it was interesting nevertheless. One of the hardest parts was you realize how little a 9:16 area is for a single shot. It's hard enough to get it, but for a 2-shot, there were some times where we had 2 authors next to each other, and the only option really is just to crop one of them and then crop the other one. There's not much you can do. Lucky for us, we only had one microphone for the guests, so they had to come over, lean into it, and then head away whenever their part was over, but it worked out. So the video signals, which were asked here, question from Joel here, great explanation for the TikTok event. How were the PTCs being controlled? A controller joystick or vMix PTC control? In general, I tend to want to use a PTZ controller. I have played with the vMix controls before, but it's just never a smooth experience and for me. So the white balance is really shifting there, isn't it? But a decent controller like this one, I think this is one of the better ones I've definitely used, and it's a pretty standard one for the Panasonic cameras. Gives you lots of control over the camera, unlike the clicky version of any software really that controls PTCs. So that's what we used. What else? What else is in this setup here? Yeah, so the PC itself was just like a beefy vMix computer sitting under here. There was also a Behringer, one of the Behringer mixtures sitting under the desk as well. A lot of heat generated in this cupboard, that's for sure. One of the things that would love to have had is more fans in this cupboard to get all that heat out of there. But, you know, what are you going to do? It happens. We learned a lot. as you always do from new experiences or from building stuff into a cupboard. But we got there in the end. It all went smooth, definitely. Yeah, Ryan Summerfield here definitely had reservations about resolution, frame rate, and 9:16 crop. For a big TikTok event he produced, it's a compromise still. Exactly. So what you end up having to do is decide where you want to crop in. So in this case, we did like I said, a Ultra HD vMix project, and then cropped a 9:16. So many numbers. 9:16 frame from that. So that way you can get a lot more quality out of the vMix project instead of starting with a HD and then cropping into that and then sending that out. In the end though, the whole stream, the requirements from their side was 720p, so we probably could have gotten away with a lower quality vMix project. But it's nice to start big, especially for the record that we did as well. At least that comes in at a nice full quality as well. So get the most from somewhere and capture that and keep it, and then later they can decide if they want to reuse that. GoWeb Technology says, adding to Joel's question, what PTZ controller do you recommend? You know, I don't think I have a favorite at all. I find them all to be not very great. I've used a lot of different ones. I haven't used any of the Scarhow ones, but I have used a couple that are like this. Again, these are one of the better ones that I have used. These are the RP150s, AWRP150s from Panasonic. And maybe other brands use these as well. I'm not entirely sure. But these are really good. The ones I really don't like is the ones that have all touchscreen on them. They're mostly touchscreen. I don't like that. I want to be able to press these buttons. But I just find, I do find that PTZ controllers in general, it doesn't hugely feel like they were designed by people who use them. I know that's a great oversimplification of a industry of lots of different controllers, but having used lots of them, your posture, it never really feels right. I did play with the Bird Dog ones, which Joel mentioned here, Bird Dog PTZ controller. They seem to do it all. I did play with that briefly at IBC, and I think I can get one in my hands for the studio here to play with a little bit at some point. I'm hoping I can figure that out. So that might be a slightly better winner. But one thing that concerns me about them is how long it takes to go from one camera to the other. I'll have to test that out. It needs to be like instant. I have seen some controllers that take like seconds to change from camera 1 to camera 2, which is just an eternity whenever you're live and you're trying desperately to fix something. So these are probably the best ones I've used in a while. These, what did I say, RF150s, but I still don't think it's the best layout for a controller that you can use without really looking down and checking what you're doing. Maybe that'll be a future creation for here to record whenever I eventually move into hardware instead of just software. The PTZ controller of my dreams. We'll see. I'd also be interested, I talked in that video that I made, 5 things I want Blackmagic to make. I talked about the PTZ controller that I saw at IBC from Sony. If you haven't seen that yet, let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, so Sony released this PTZ controller. Oh, you were looking at my screen the whole time there. Good. That they call the, what is it called? The FR7, which is really cool. It's like interchangeable lens PTZ. I had a little play with that at IBC, and it looked so good. The quality of a PTZ like that, it's nothing like what I've previously been using for PTZs. So crazy cool. And it made me think, like, it wouldn't be great if Blackmagic made something along these lines, because not everybody, many of us have asked for years now for them to make a PTZ. So I would love to see them build something like this. And to that point, I would love to see what kind of controller they end up using. Will it be a controller with a label slapped on it? Will it be a completely custom one? Will they rely on you to use the ATEM software control, a new PTZ tab in there, or a tab that we don't know about that works for PTZs? Who knows? Wow, how did I get to this? How did I even head down this direction? I don't know, but that was pretty cool. And And that was the event. It went pretty good. We did a couple of streams every day. Showed it on the screens here, and then the whole thing took place around the corner there. It was like 1.5 hours every day and 10-minute intervals, 10 minutes with each author. So it was a constant come and go, come and go. And someone asked, does TikTok even store a version of the live show? And it does do that, but I believe that's only whenever you log in, because I was logged into their account and I could see previous streams that we did the day before, but I don't know if it actually holds a live version on your account. Just like, if you come to my YouTube channel, you can see all my old live streams. I don't think it does that, or it certainly didn't do that whenever I saw it. So it's like watch it live or don't watch it at all. But I'm not a big user, so I'm not entirely sure. So that was the TikTok event. There was one more photo here that I didn't show. It was this one. So you can take a little look at sort of the other way around, where if you were an audience member, you'd be standing down here looking up, seeing the two people up there, a couple of celebrities. I mean, maybe nobody that anyone would know here watching along unless you're living in Sweden. And even then, I didn't know all of the people, but there was a few familiar faces from a few TV shows, which is always fun. And then in the cupboard here, like I said, we had the bottom part full of gear and the top part was full of the control and screens. And this table eventually moved up there so we could get some shots. We had speakers attached to these little stands here. And then what you can't see is there was a truss that we ended up building that started out at the bottom here, and then reached up, and two cameras that I was controlling were up top, but eye level to the speakers there, so you could get a good shot of them from a nice angle. I think what would have been a different approach was to put the cameras up here, but the angle is just so tight and so high that getting a good shot of somebody from this angle was next to impossible. You're never going to be happy with the shot. And this is just one part of a huge expo hall that you can just about see in the background there. Always a fun environment to work in. So loud. It was like going to IBC and going around all these halls and loud. And then 2 weeks later going here, it was, I've seen a lot of faces and heard a lot of noise in the last few weeks. But I've enjoyed it. It was actually my first freelancing job after the summer. I haven't done much since then, so it was fun to be back at it again. So that was the TikTok event coverage. I would love to have showed you the end result, but if you didn't watch it live, then you may never see it. And I didn't get any shots of it either, so you will never know what I saw unless you watched along. Neil says sounds like a fun work project. It was. I worked with somebody I hadn't really worked much with before, who is based up in Gothenburg, where this whole thing took place. We have chatted a few times over email, but it was nice to actually get together and work together and have a chat. And that's what I'm finding about going to IBC, going to this job with Eric up in Gothenburg, meeting people from the Discord at IBC. It's been weird. I never thought I would enjoy. I didn't usually enjoy that much socializing. I've always enjoyed just, quietly sitting at home. But having done it a bunch over the last few weeks, I've actually enjoyed it a lot. So maybe I'll try and do more than that. One of the things I really want to do, actually, now that I've started, I don't want to travel. I don't necessarily want to travel the world and do this, but certainly I could do it in Europe, take trains around and maybe if you're watching along now and you have a suggestion of somewhere or you have a place that you want me to come to, it'd be awesome. But I'd love to bring a camera and come to studios around Europe and get some shots of what you use, maybe chat with you about the equipment and do like a proper on-location series in Europe with my gear. Maybe just bring like 1 or 2 cameras and something to do like a nice solid recording of audio, and go around your studio, go around your equipment, take a look at what you use, how you use it. And then mostly what I really want to do is talk about like weird solutions that you come up with. Like, for example, is there a place in your studio that you have like something stupid like this? You taped up the microphone onto something and it just totally works and you just left it that way. and there's no reason to go back and fix it again. You know, weird things like that. Because many of us anyway, have ATEMs lying around and using that gear, using the cameras. It's all not boring, not at all boring, fun stuff. But we're all using it that way. It'd be really fun to see what other weird ways people are using their equipment and solutions they come up with. So if you have good ideas for that, then do let me know. Either in the chat comments and right now, live, below this video, or over on Discord. Maybe I should set up a channel to talk about it. Joel says you should definitely check out Broadcast Bike. I definitely should. I have my sticker from it over there. I chatted with my buddy Bart, who I've known for quite a few years now, who has a Broadcast Bike where he has, let me see if I can find him on Instagram here. I'm so glad I have Instagram open today. I can just flick through all of the fun stuff on there. But he has this cargo bike that he has built into an AV on the road, on the go AV studio. So a couple of cameras fit in there, an ATEM vMix as well. Apologies, Bart, if I'm not getting all the facts right. I can't remember all of the good stuff that you had in there. But here's a good shot of it with the multi-view up on a screen. Laptop control. I think, yeah, you have PTZ control there as well because you have PTZ cameras, and it's all built into this bike, into this cargo box. And in fact, it's so self-contained that you can take that box off of the bike and you could use the bike for something else without it being in any way a broadcast bike. So in the weekends, if he wants to go off and go on a hike with not really hiking with the bike, go on a cycle with the bike, he doesn't have to bring all his AV equipment with him because the white box that you see there is a completely self-contained studio and gear. So that would be a good one. Maybe someday me and him should get together again and he can show me the bike in action. I'd love to do that. It'd be fun. Tarsem says, please help in vMix Replay with a logo. I'd have to look into that. I actually don't use vMix Replay at all, so I'm not entirely sure I can answer that just today. But I know they have some good videos on their channel about all of their tools, so that would be a great place to start. Otherwise, it's something I can potentially look into. I want to do more vMix videos, so it's a good idea. Question here from IT Never Gets Old. What are your plans, thoughts for Dashmaster 2000? I'm trying to wrap my head around how I would use it. It's very cool, however. If you're unfamiliar, and we have some fun updates this week for Dashmaster 2000. It actually has a website now. I'll post the link in the chat here. We actually purchased a website for Dashmaster 2K, it's called. Let me see. So the website, as you may imagine, is dashmaster2k.com. Oh yeah, I can show it there. There we go. And if I go back to this one again and get rid of that. So it looks the same, this main website, but it does have its own URL now, which is always fun. And then if you create a space and you're unfamiliar with Dashmaster, it is a way that you can, I'm liking the use of 2K. Sorry, Eric's saying here, I like the use of 2K. It's definitely got a good ring to it. Yeah, the name is just sticking. There's no going back now, right? But if you create a screen like this, you can put whatever you want in these boxes. For example, I can put a video over here. I can put other fun stuff like a graphics project running on this local machine. I can put some other weird things in there. I'm going to do one thing real quick before I go any further because we're still working heavily on it. And I just remembered that if you have the URL, you can actually make changes. So I'm just going to get rid of that and go full screen with it. What is it? F11. Okay, so I have another one that I just span up here. You can choose all of these layouts. We actually have 7 new layouts now. Would you believe it? They're really small on the live stream right now, I know, but there are 7 new layouts which have been optimized for 9:16 screens. So it looks weird right now on this screen, but if you were to imagine that shrunk down, you can get 3 videos, for example, on top of each other like that. But one of the cool things that Lucas, because it's not just me that's building this, it's Lucas from Stage Timer that's also building it. But one of the cool things that he added this week was this new buttons option. So it's really, really, really simple buttons, or sorry, HTTP buttons API requests. So if you're familiar with any of that stuff, like you use it for Stage Timer, you use it for H2R graphics, you can do like a get or a post request, press a button and it does something. So for example, you could set this up to do stage timer / API / start the timer, whatever the case is. You can make a button, and then when you save it, it gives you like a simple list of buttons that you can click and they do certain things. Obviously that didn't work because I just broke it there. But what's even cooler is we had this idea of, well, why not just make the screen useful for stupid things? So for example, one of the things we added this week was this, an absolutely meaningless. Did I talk about this? No, I haven't live streamed in a long time. So this is one of the things we added, was just this absolutely meaningless display that is not actually useful information other than something to fill a screen. So let's say you have a empty, it's a map, y'all, says Eric. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Let's say you have an empty display in your production truck or behind you on a, you just have something extra to fill and you just want to add something. Well, we just thought it would be cool to add these silly options in here. So we only have 2 right now. This world data flow, and then this absolutely meaningless line chart that just every second just sort of updates, and it always is heading in the right direction. No, wait, that way. It's always heading in the right direction. In general, like the flow is going in the right direction. So in these 2 examples, and coming back to your question, I think it's cool, but I'm trying to figure out a practical application for it. Do you guys have any use cases in mind? Exactly. What I'm talking about right now is just screen fillers, but there are applications in mind, most definitely. So for example, if I was to grab the link to today's show, for example, so I'll just change this to a 3-up and go back and add a YouTube integration here and paste in the YouTube live stream for today's show and press play on that. Just mute that. This could get a bit inception-y, but we'll find out. And let me just change to this one actually, because it's a slightly better one for the example I want to show. If I grab that same YouTube ID here and now go into this new YouTube live chat integration and paste the ID in, then what I have now is access to my YouTube live chat. So I can set this up on a screen next to me, as you can see here, and in one place I can see my YouTube live stream that's happening. I can see the live chat that's coming in, and then maybe I can add one more thing here. Like for example, maybe I want to add the output of my graphics project as well. So if I copy the ID from that and I go in here, paste the ID, and I want to see maybe the output and hit save on that, then that loads up as well. So I can show a graphic, and what you're looking at right now, obviously you can see it on my, I'll just turn it off for a second. I have my graphic showing up there, so I can always see what's happening. Or I can throw in, even better, if I don't want the output, maybe I want to take a look at my rundown, my graphics rundown, and these are all the graphics I have queued up for this show today. So you can see those here. Even better, maybe I can make it a 4-up instead. So I have my chat there. I have my graphics project there, but maybe I want to also open up my social comments here as well. So now what I have is a place that I can paste links into. I can watch the video, so it's okay. I can paste links in here since I can chat with people. I can run graphics here, like this one from Eric, and then I can also interact and show graphics specifically through there. So there are already some use cases that I'm using it for, and one of them being the ability to show my live stream, the chat nice and large, so I can see what's happening, and then one more thing to throw in some graphics and stuff like that. That's one. We've got more things on the way. We have lots more integrations that we're planning to add, and cool things like that. So if you have any ideas, let us know. And if you're still not sure what you might use it for, then maybe we haven't done a good job yet. But this project for us is very much an exploration and an interesting ideas that we're bringing to it. And we're trying to sort of attack it in a different way than our usual apps, where we're super interested in building something that fits a specific use case like the graphics or like the timers that Lucas builds, and then turning that into a way of keeping our businesses going, like the graphics or the timer. What we're trying to do here is something that we think we would use, but also that is quite interesting and people are really interested in it, which is great. And all that fun stuff. So you can run the rundown then over the network in screen cells. Specifically for H2R graphics, right this very second, you have to be running H2R graphics on this current computer. So the PC that I showed you that on, H2R graphics is running on that computer. It's just an unfortunate local internet versus wide internet problem that graphics is hitting. Maybe there's something I can do about it. I just haven't quite looked into it yet. So that specific use case that you just saw, the graphics is running on the same computer, and it does make a little note of that in there. But that's that. Ryan coming in with good morning all. Nice to have you here, Ryan. Ryan, pretty early for you, I'm sure, but always nice to have you swing by and say hello from your Australian home. IT never gets old. Is that an electron limitation? I think it is. I can't remember exactly what the error was off the top of my head now, so I'll have to look into it again. But the way that electron is, the application, the H2R graphics application, since it's considered as something you're running locally and you can trust it's all running over HTTP, and since this Dashmaster is a web-based application and it's running over HTTPS, the two do not play well with each other. That's why. But I think there is a fix to do that, so I would love to do that. Tarsim says, please help me. Blackmagic Duo 2 card, does it support 1080p 60? Yes. Yes, it does. I'm using that right this very moment for my graphics, which is running at 1080p 60 into my 810 back there. I have a key and fill graphics on vMix, and the Duo is connected directly up to vMix, and it's setting at 1080p 60. So yes. Lindhag wants to know, I find a Slido integration, but no Menti integration. Yeah, over on Dashmaster, we have been one by one adding integrations, since that way we can customize exactly what it says when you get in there. So for example, the Slido URL here is pastable in there, but maybe if I take up the stage timer one, for example, you can see that you actually paste in the room ID, which you can get from stage timer, and you can choose what page you want to see whenever you paste that in. So we are adding the integrations manually ourselves. So all you need to do is request the integration and we shall add it. But we clearly have not added that one yet for you. If you would like it, then request it over on the Dashmaster Discord channel, because we just created one of those the other day too in the software section. So do that. Some people say Blackmagic yes, some people say no. Well, I have my I have my Geo running at 1080p 60 right now. So maybe it's the older one that doesn't support that, but unless I'm totally mistaken, let me find out. External output on vMix. Let's see what it's set to. It may be, yeah, it's set to 60. So it must work. Good question. But there are older versions of that, I believe, that maybe they don't support 1080p 60. So that's that. Thank you for all the questions that's coming along the way. If I missed any, apologies. Well, Lindhag, sorry. Any fun upcoming events? Great question. I have some freelance stuff booked for the next few weeks, but one of the things I'm going to do, and I didn't mention this, but I guess I can talk about it when it happens, is this weekend I'm going to move offices, hopefully, if everything goes right, into a space that is more than 3 times bigger. It has 5 rooms instead of the current 2 rooms. We have the whole floor. I say we, me and my wife are both going to rent it together. She's going to take part of it for a business that she's starting, and I'm taking the other part for here to record and all that fun stuff. I'm going to make some videos, hopefully, about setting up the equipment there. I feel like I only just moved in here, but that was 6 months ago. But plenty to come there on what's happening in the new office. I guess what will happen now is I will pull all of this stuff apart this week, and which gives me 2 more weeks until the next live stream. So my hope is the next time you're watching this live stream in 2 weeks' time, you will see me in my new space, and everything will be working as I expect it to work. And it will look maybe almost exactly like this, because I plan to bring all this. This is a paper backdrop. The lights obviously are all my lights, so I'll bring that all with me. And it might look exactly the same, but my intention in time will be to make something very different. Maybe I can get your help on that to sketch out some ideas, paint some walls, build some random things, fill up all the space, like IT never gets old says here. If I can get this up real quick. Where was that at? Down the bottom. Whoa. Question. Whoa. Good question. Whoa, that's a lot of space. Yeah, it is a lot of space. 130 square meters, if that means much to you. 120? Oh, I can't remember now. Anyway, it's much more than here. So I'm excited for that. See what I can fill that space with. I have no idea if that'll be easier or difficult, but we'll find out. Alrighty. Live stream studio build. I should do some sort of live stream studio build. I always feel like when I'm building something live, I always feel like a bit of an idiot, which is okay sometimes, but sometimes it's not. I feel like I'm just messing around doing cables while someone's talking, but I could totally do it if you're up for it. If people want it, I'm up for considering it, definitely. Alrighty, thanks for sticking around for the last 60 minutes and chatting. I'm going to head over to the Zoom call where the members are hanging out. If you want to join us there, you certainly can still do that. You just need to press the join button below any of the videos on this channel. You'll get access to the community tab where you can see a link to the Zoom call that we're having for the next half hour while I wrap things up here in the office. And we do that before, during, and after all of these live streams. So you can check that out. Big thanks to the supporters of the channel, of course, and for all of you for watching along to the live show today. Let me go back to this camera here. Jeremy, Revolution Lightboards, Marlon, and Jim from Cloud Bedrock, and of course all of your faces. Good to have you all here on the live show. I will see you on the next one. Until then, bye-bye.